Hello, everyone. Can you see and or hear me? Did you see the cool little transition? Oh, I need to adjust this camera position. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Can't hear me? I do think that sometimes my mic volume is a little too low. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Don't really have anything super planned for this stream. It's just basically going to be hanging out, Q&A type situation. I've been working on improving the stream. As well as just trying to figure things out, working out the kinks. Anybody that was on my stream a couple days ago know that I had a lot of technical issues. I think I may have solved those issues, but I guess we will see if that's the case. I was dealing with the camera. The camera kept cutting off, and I had to do some research about that. But I may have fixed it by now. Anyway. What's up, Dr. Andy? What's up, Basic Bitch? What's up, Daniel, Alexandra? Do I speak another language besides English? Not really. I speak very poor Spanish, but that's about it. Is the mic still quiet? I turned it up earlier. I mean, it can definitely be turned up if needed. But yeah, I was listening to some of the old streams, and the mic volume is pretty low. So yeah, I love that you play D&D. Yeah, I've just been. I started playing pretty recently, like about 2 years ago, and I am kind of obsessed with it at this point. I have seen the movie 300. Have I ever been outside of North America? Technically yes. I was born in Germany, so that counts. But I left there when I was about 2 years old, so I don't remember it all at all. And I've been to Panama, which is in Central America. So, but also I was a really young kid at that time too, so I barely remember that as well. But since I've been like old enough to remember, no. I'm pretty sad that I only just recently discovered D&D because it's like the main thing I'm into right now. I guess I'll go ahead and I probably should have already done this, but I'll send out a tweet. Let the people know that I'm online. But yeah, for those that know, I've been trying to stream every Monday and Friday. The actual times that I stream is kind of all over the place, but at least you know the days. I have a D&D game tomorrow. Since when have you been interested in political and cultural stuff? Since when? I guess since as long as I've been, as long as I can remember, I guess. I guess I was probably, maybe I got into that sort of thing in high school or college, perhaps. Probably like late high school is when I like really started thinking about that sort of stuff, which was, you know, like almost 20 years ago. Like 17 years ago is when I graduated high school. I'm not really caught up on the Shane Dawson situation. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Do I like Twitter? Social media, would you not use it if you could? Um, I think overall social media was a mistake, but I think if I if I could like start over, which I guess I can, but it would probably be a bad idea, like career wise. But if I could start over, I would be a lot more I would have a lot more discretion in terms of how I manage my social media. My hair's all over the place right now. Like on my Twitter, like I'm like, well, Twitter, I've pretty much given up on Twitter. I mean, I still tweet and stuff, but I don't really read Twitter anymore. I don't look at the feed. I almost never look at replies. Sometimes I look at replies, but usually I don't. And I definitely almost never look at the feed. Um, but you know, if I could start over, I would just like have a lot more discretion about who I follow and stuff. Like a lot of times I follow people who seem cool or who make other content that I like, but their Twitter feeds are just like, you know, dramatic and angry and negative, and it's like I don't really want to see that all the time. Um Facebook is better for me. Some people don't like Facebook, but I've done a much better job of um pruning my Facebook, I guess. Like Facebook makes it pretty easy to just like, hey, if someone's in your feed and you don't want, and they post shit you don't want, you can just hide them from your feed. It's pretty simple. Um, and Facebook works a little bit differently in that it's not focused around like the the influencers basically. Like other social media sites have the influencers that everybody follows, but on Facebook kind of has that, but Facebook is more about being friends with people. Um, and I think that makes it a little bit different because it's not really all about like what influencer has the hottest takes or what influencer has the best photos and stuff. So Facebook works better for me. Now there is the fact that Facebook is like kind of an evil company, but I mean, what company isn't these days? Will I be streaming D&D tomorrow? No. My current D&D group seems pretty anxious about streaming. I don't think they want that kind of attention. but I might try to run a second game with people like that may want to stream. Twitter is definitely the embodiment of don't meet your heroes, but I do think that Twitter brings out the worst in people, including myself, which is one of the reasons why I limit access to it. Like I actually have Twitter blocked on my computer, and I uninstall the Twitter app from my phone. So my only interaction with Twitter is I use TweetDeck. And on TweetDeck you can control what you see. So like if I open up my TweetDeck right now, all I can see are my DMs and my tweets. I can't see notifications, I can't see replies, I can't see the feed. And that's how I interact with Twitter these days. I've started reading replies a little bit more now, but I generally try not to, especially if there's a post that's like um, that gets popular. That's when people start, throwing in their 2 cents. Would you like to be Instagram friends? Can you be friends on Instagram? You can follow me on Instagram if you want. My Instagram is pretty much just 99% selfies. So if you're into that, you can you can do that. At the one janitor. Yeah, Twitter was definitely bad for my mental health, which is why I've cut down. I just realized that every time I got on Twitter, I would leave in a worse mood. Why is my face so shadowy right now? Hold on. See, I tried to add more light. You can see like the softbox over here, but it doesn't seem to actually be improving the picture. I might need more light on this side actually. What media do I get my news from? From a variety of sources, really. But this, all right, I'm just gonna move this back. But I mean, I get from a variety of different sources, which is what I think everyone should do, really. I don't know. I feel like there's like this distrust of the media, but I feel like most mainstream or most like well-known media sources are fine. Just as long as you're diversifying where you get your news from. I mean, I guess short ideas aren't necessarily bad, but the problem is people want to talk about very complex things on Twitter, and it's not really the platform that's good for that kind of thing. And the problem is people also, because of the nature of social media, people also want to have like these long drawn out debates on Twitter. And it's definitely not good for that because it is pretty much impossible to make a point, to make a good, like make a concise point on Twitter, which means people will inevitably misunderstand or misrepresent what you say. Um, and then people use that to further the negativity and further the just like people sort of like they'll say something and it's Twitter, So it's hard to understand because it's hard to make nuanced points on Twitter because there's not enough room. And then someone will interpret that and be like, "Oh, did you just say this?" And then the other person will be like, "Oh, see, look at you misrepresenting my point once again." And then it just, that just happens on Twitter all the time. And it's like it's impossible for that not to happen. Do I still watch DeFranco? Every now and then, not like every day. I was watching a lot of his podcast interviews. Those were pretty cool. Do I have a favorite breakfast food? I guess I would have to say eggs. I eat eggs all the time. I could probably eat eggs every day. Can you be a good feminist and love 80s action movies? How do you balance media intake and politics? Well, see, the internet has like online activism has sort of spread this idea that you're not allowed to like stuff that's problematic or that has problematic elements, and I don't agree with that at all. I don't understand where that really came from. It's just sort of like this like battle, or this like tournament of purity, like who's the most righteous. And so it's like, well, it's like I don't do bad stuff, and then person two is like, well, I don't even watch bad stuff. It's not no one gives a shit, man. Like, it's okay to like stuff. Just be a good person. That's really all we require of you. Just be a good person. And it's okay to criticize things you like, and it's okay to like things that are worthy of criticism. I've seen a little bit of Dear White People, but probably not enough to talk about it. But it seemed fine. I don't know. Oh, there's a delay. Oh, there's a delay. Yeah, I'll have to worry about. I'll have to fix that another day. I'm not super worried about a delay in the audio though, unless it's like super distracting. I'm pretty sure the reason why is because I'm actually using a video capture, or like I'm capturing the window instead of actually directly putting the feed into OBS. But that's what I have to do right now. But yeah, I can. That should be easily fixed, but I don't really feel like trying to figure it out right now. Should we leave Twitter completely? I don't know. I think you should do whatever is best for you and what's best for your mental health. Some people can deal with Twitter. Some people have curated their Twitter so it's not that bad. But like I said, I've changed the way I interact with Twitter, and it works for me for now. The woke Olympics. Yeah, exactly. I kind of feel like that an inability to separate art from the artist is a sign of immaturity. I mean, I think that each person gets to choose how they want to live their life. My problem is when you start judging other people based on their choices. Like, to me, it makes perfect sense, especially like in the case of like supporting someone financially. Like, makes I think it makes perfect sense if you don't want to support a bad person financially, by engaging with the things that they make. That's fine. I just don't think it's morally required of all people to do that. The only thing I think that people ought to do is just be good people. That's really the only thing I think we should expect of others. I've seen a few episodes of Doctor Who. Oops. I had a dream about you fist fighting Ben Shapiro. Well, that would be, nobody wants to see that. Have I done the political compass test? I did it a few years ago. I mean, I feel like everyone who does it, who's like remotely left of center, always ends up in the lower left quadrant. I also think it's important to recognize that people are more than their worst elements. Absolutely. I mean, humans are complex, even the ones that have done bad things. And I think the moment that we stop treating people as if they are complex and start treating them like, you know, one-dimensional stick figures, we're sort of doing a disservice to not only them as people, but just to the entire conversation surrounding whatever it is that they did. Yeah, and so yeah, some people have said that the political compass test is kind of biased in its questioning, and I personally think that some of the questions are just weirdly worded and hard to answer, which I think is maybe intentional, but it's just like, I mean, how are you going to rate me if I don't even know how to answer this question? The test is rigged to always give you a libertarian bent. One time I deliberately picked every authoritarian option, and the worst it gave me was right-leaning libertarian. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen like some conservatives do it, and I think that they got right libertarian. I think probably they acknowledge that there are probably not that many sort of like actual totalitarian fascists in the world, so maybe they don't weigh those things that highly. Do you think that never talk about religion in politics is a good social rule? I mean, not really. It just depends on the person. Um, I'm happy to talk about religion and politics with anybody that really wants to, but pretty much the moment it seems like the conversation is getting combative or mean spirited, then I'm just gonna tap out. But I mean, I don't. I guess the idea is that those topics are more likely to become combative and negative than others, but not necessarily. It just depends on who you're talking to. There's certain people that I would never talk about religion and politics with for sure. And I don't get into too many like public conversations about politics online because I feel like online political discourse is like particularly bad compared to other things. My wife just found you via your tone policing video after reading So You Want to Talk About Race. and serendipitously we get to watch you together. Well, that's great. Do you agree with this? Creating an identity based on your race is poison to a society. I feel like I need more context for the quote, but my initial reaction to the quote is that it's not, I don't agree with it. Talking politics and religion while balancing friendships is the hard part. Well, that's only if you have weird principles where you can't be friends with people who disagree with you on stuff. And that's another part of this sort of like online purity purity contest. It was like, well, I'm not a bad person. Well, I'm not even friends with people who believe things I think are bad. It's like, okay, man, I don't care. Yeah, I don't know. There's people like really intolerant to viewpoints they don't agree with, and I know there's like this whole thing where it's like it's more than just disagreement. Like, yeah, but people are. It just comes. It goes back to forgetting that people are complex. Like someone believes a thing that you think is awful, and then all of a sudden you've decided to no longer consider that person a complex human. They have because of this one view, you have decided to just place them in a one-dimensional box. So that person is a villain who is not worthy of friendship or love, or being treated with respect. And I just don't think that's the way. I don't think that's the way we should interact with each other. Am I a cat person or a dog person? Um, well, I'm definitely not a cat person. I'm not a huge animal person. I mean, I like dogs, I guess. I'm not super excited about dogs like some other people, but dogs are fine if they're like not, like some dogs are really really obnoxious and not well behaved, and those are annoying. But in general, I like dogs. I don't like cats though. Cats are assholes. In my experience, the vast majority of cats I've experienced have been pretty annoying. Are there any topics separate from politics that you would like to discuss in videos? Well, sure, and I do every now and then. Um, like I just made a video about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like like a couple months ago. So like pop culture stuff, I've done like I did a video about self-help, which that's not politics, really. So I do every now and then. What is the most extremist person that you think you could tolerate in your personal life? Like, would you be friends with a fascist? It's hard to say what I would do without being in the experience, without experiencing it. But I do think that some ideologies kind of go hand in hand with being an asshole. Um, so like for example, fascism often correlates with like racism. Um, and it's really hard to be like to have racist ideas and also be a good person. So like that's kind of how that's like my number one priority for whether or not I choose to engage with you is if you whether or not you're an asshole, whether or not you're a pleasant person to be around. Um, and it's possible that some ideologies go hand in hand with that. But for example, I don't know any like fascists personally. Um, but I've met some like pretty right-wing conservatives that are just shitty people, just always had something shitty to say, always talking shit about people, you know, vaguely racist, vaguely sexist. And, you know, I don't want to be friends with those kind of people. It has less to do with their politics than just what kind of person they are. On the other side, I've met conservatives that are very nice and overall just seem to be pretty decent people. And I have no issue with being friends with someone like that. I remember you liking funny games. Did I say I like funny games? I don't like funny games. I mentioned it in a video. Like, I understand funny games and I respect it, but I actually don't like it at all. It's a really frustrating movie to watch. Um, any other films like that that you enjoy? What do you mean like that? And it's, I don't know, you really have to, I don't know, the example that I always like to use is my mom. Like, my mom is vaguely homophobic just because of, like, for religious reasons. She thinks that God doesn't want people to be gay, and so she kind of has a negative view towards the idea of being gay. However, my mom is one of the nicest and most respectable and kindest and most intelligent and hardworking people that I know in my life. And obviously I'm biased because she's my mom, but I still, like, genuinely like her, and I think I would like her even if she wasn't my mom. Um, and basically the idea is, like, people are just complex. People develop weird and often bad ideas for various reasons, but it doesn't mean that they're not worthy of respect or friendship. You can criticize them for sure. You can be upset with them for their views, and it might be different if I was gay, maybe, but I still think the same thing applies. So I think, but yeah. Um, is there any way I can teach my friend that systemic racism in general exists still? Um, I don't. I mean, I think I've talked about this before, but, like, the issue is, if people are willingly ignorant, if people willingly ignore the evidence, I don't know what you can do. Like, you can't force someone to come to the table. They have to choose to do it. They have to be open to having their minds change. And if a person is not open to having their minds change, there's nothing you can do. You can't control what another person does. If they are open to having their minds change, well, you can begin to show them the overwhelming evidence of systemic racism, because it's pretty much undebatable that systemic racism exists. There is mountains and mountains of statistical data, evidence of all kinds in almost every institution, every industry. It is very hard to deny once you've seen the evidence. So um, that is the approach I would take. But of course, people have to be willing to even hear it in the first place. What would I do if one of my family members got married to Steven Crowder? I don't know. That's weird. Um, but yeah, like, Steven Crowder is he's obviously a character. He's like a comedian, I guess. But that's an example of someone who just, all of his stuff is just very mean spirited, and a lot of it is like, if you do, like, in depth analysis of it, or not even in depth, but if you kind of understand a lot of the things that he's talking about, it's pretty obvious that he's sort of being intentionally bad faith. And that's the kind of stuff that I don't like. That's the kind of stuff that's like, I don't want to be friends with you because you don't seem like a very good person. But I don't think that applies to everyone who is a conservative or everyone who believes certain things. Wow, new camera looks great. Appreciate that. Yeah, I just basically figured out how to use my filming camera as my live stream camera, which I wasn't doing before. I wouldn't befriend a fascist, but if I had a friend become a fascist, I would try to help them out instead of immediately dumping them. I think it's fine to talk with your friends about, or friends or family about their ideas. But I do think it's important to not be condescending to people. I don't like this idea where it's like someone believes something, and because of that, they're not as enlightened as me, and I just need to train them up in the way they should go. They're obviously not as smart as me. They have never considered their own opinions. And so I will do my duty in correcting them. Like that sort of thing can get first of all, it's never going to work. You're never going to convince people if you condescend to them like that. But second of all, it's just, you kind of being an asshole if you do that. I'm not saying that you're doing that, but I'm just saying that's the issue that you run into. I'm very reluctant to have friends that don't agree with my politics. I think a lot of people are, and I think that is probably not good. I think even nice people can still be bad people. Yeah, people are complex. No one's perfect. And it's not really, I don't think it's anyone's job to try and mind read people and try to find out their innermost convictions. It is up to each of us individually to be good people, and no one may ever know whether or not you're a good person, and you may not ever know whether or not someone else is a good person. It's not your job to know. When if you find something out down the line, you can react to it, but I don't think it's I don't think it's a good use of your energy to walk around. It's like, man, I wonder if my friend is a secret racist, even though I've never seen them do it. What will you do if your mom tries to indoctrinate your child with her religious views? Well, if my mom, what I expect to happen, which I think happens to most people, is I expect um, people to experience a lot of different ideas and a lot of different viewpoints from different sources, and I think that's fine. I have no intention of forcing my child to be an atheist. But I do intend to try to teach my child to be a good person and treat people with respect. And if my mom teaches something different, which I don't think she would, but if she did, then I would just have to hope that I was more convincing. That's really all that I can go with that. Because throughout life, people are going to experience different ideas, and it's just whatever happens to be the most convincing is the one that they're going to go for. Same thing with my mom. I mean, I don't think my mom talked to me too much about like being gay and stuff, but it was very clear growing up that being gay was considered a sin. And over time, I listened to new ideas, met new people that was more convincing to me. So I think the same thing will apply to my child. I think ContraPoints put it best when describing bigotry. She said, ignorance isn't the same as wanting someone dead. Yeah, I agree with that. I have been to Los Angeles. You make me smile. I appreciate that. You all make me smile. Do I have any questions for the chat? I don't know. I actually, Braden, I would like to know where everyone is from. Where is everyone from, or where are you at currently? If it's not where you are from originally. And don't get me wrong, there are bad people in the world. They are still complex humans, but there are people who are bad. I'm not saying that there's no such thing as bad people, but I think that we automatically throw people into the villain box, like off of like one thing. Like we judge people by the worst of what they are, basically, which is not fair. Really, it's not logical and it's not fair. So someone brought up a serial killer. Like if someone's like entire purpose of life, or if someone's like main characteristic is that they like to kill people, I think it's pretty safe to say, yo, that's a bad person. We can have like very complex conversations about why are they like that, what's their environment like, what else are they doing in their life. But like in this case, I don't think it's a matter of judging them by the worst that they do. It's like a pretty fair judgment of like who they are overall. Does the cosmos count as an answer? Does it? New Jersey, Houston, Texas. I'm from Colombia, but I live in Brazil. Gary, Indiana. Copenhagen. Denver, Louisville. London. Even then his actions are bad, not necessarily his innate value as a human. I mean, yeah. And I also don't think that just because a person is bad, that to me does not now give us a license to be shitty to that person or to be bad in return. I don't agree with that either. Oh, by the way, how does the chat look? Is it too big or too small? It was like really big last time, but I kind of changed it. I think it might be a good size now. Like I want the chat on screen just in case people want to watch in full screen and they can't read the chat otherwise. So it does appear. So last time I streamed, I was having an issue with the camera shutting off, and what I realized was a lot of these cameras, especially the older ones, y'all might know about this, but I have right now I'm using a Canon T3i, and it's supposed to be it's like a photo camera. It's mostly for photos, but it has a video function. And this is what like YouTubers use, like I don't know, like fucking 10 years ago. Like I'm behind the times because I don't have as much money as like the top YouTubers, but I'll get there eventually. Anyway, this is like what the old YouTubers use. It was like one of the first like good DSLR cameras that had like a articulating screen so you could see yourself, which is perfect for YouTube. And you know, if you wanted to get that a good picture and good depth of field, it was like one of the first cameras YouTubers kind of started using. But it what I learned is, well, there's two things. When you're recording, you can't record for longer than 30 minutes. Like the camera just won't let you. Part of it is an overheating issue. They want to protect from overheating. But what I also learned is they limit how much you can record on it, because apparently in Europe, or some country in Europe, which is one of the countries where the camera is sold, they tax video cameras differently than they tax photo cameras. And so in order to keep it from being classified as a video camera, they put a lot of limits to how much you can record video. So that's part of it. And then also there's a function called live view, where basically where you can use the screen to compose your pictures rather than looking through the viewfinder. And that also cuts off after 30 minutes. So I think it's part of that, but live view is often used for photos and not just for videos. So the thing with that is the camera thinks that you're not using it. So like, you know, when you leave the camera idle, there's a function where it like auto powers off after a certain amount of time, but you can turn that off. You can completely turn the auto power off. However, even if you turn it off, the camera will still shut off after 30 minutes. It's like, why? So it's partly because of the tax thing, and it's partly because the camera doesn't think that you're doing anything with the camera. Like it thinks that you're idle. Like right now I'm not interacting with the camera. So it's not, it kind of thinks that that it's idle, basically. So basically what I had to do is basically I have to set a function on the camera that makes it think that I'm using it. There's like firmware updates and stuff that you can download that help you do that. I don't want to get into too much detail. It's not like illegal or anything, but you guys can look that up if you want. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. And it seems to be working now, because it would have cut off by now. Hold on, someone sent me a message. I feel like I always get, no one like messages me until I start streaming. But I've been looking up cameras. Cameras are fucking expensive, by the way. Why do they cost so much money? But I'm in the process of like researching what camera I should get next. The problem is I don't know if the picture, like it might be better to get a lens actually than a camera, because I don't know if the picture will even improve that much. Like I'll just get like more settings and stuff. Listen, I don't know that much about cameras. I could be completely wrong, but I know like the fucking sensor size matters, and a lot of the upgrade cameras don't have larger sensors, so I don't know if the actual camera image quality will improve. Like, I don't know. Didn't they have like a big thing about banning burqas in France a long time ago? Did they ever figure that whole thing out? The potato 43X. Yeah, I assume. I mean, there's some pretty like complex computer technology in modern day digital cameras, so I wouldn't be surprised if they are pretty expensive to make. But it's like shit, dude. Because it, to be honest, the camera that I have, I use only for video for the most part. I rarely take photos with it, and it's mostly for photos. So I don't use like 90% of the functionality of my camera. But yeah, I might have to speak with someone who's actually like an expert on cameras and stuff. I forgot about the movie Flubber. And also those who didn't watch the stream last time, I have changed the look. I've gotten rid of the overlay. I'm trying to like get up to date to modern day streamers and what their streams look like. Have I ever thought about setting up an Amazon wish list? I definitely have an Amazon wish list. The link is in the description, and I do think there is a camera on there. I need to update it though. I think I have the Canon 80D in my wish list, but might as well put the 90D on there, right? What are some of my favorite films to watch? Um, I don't know. I really like pretty much every Tarantino movie. Um, you mean just films that I just like put on and watch? Like there are films that I like, but that I just don't. It's not like super rewatchable. But movies that I can just watch over and over again. Pretty much any Tarantino movie. The Matrix, Rush Hour, Hook. I fucking love Hook. Adam's Family. Those are like the movies. Like if someone's like just put on a movie right now that you know that you'll enjoy, it's like one of those. I've seen Train Spotting. So y'all are just recommending like the really artsy, depressing movies. I don't like watching depressing shit. I like movies that have hope for the world. And that doesn't mean the movie can't be sad at all. But it's like a lot of movies. It's like when I'm done watching them, I'm just bummed out and don't feel good, and I don't want that experience. Well, no, Star Wars isn't depressing. Um, I'm actually a big Matrix fan. Like, I was like, I mean, I guess I still am kind of obsessed with the Matrix, but I used to be like really, I used to really nerd out about the Matrix, like to the point where I was like on forums and shit, like debating people about it. Yeah, I guess some people are depressed by the Star Wars series, but it usually has little to do with the actual content of the movies. I still don't understand the Matrix to this day. Honestly, that's understandable because it's pretty convoluted. To some extent, I think it's meant to be kind of open-ended and confusing, but I've had so many conversations about the Matrix, and I think that if you like dig deep into it, you just kind of come to terms with an interpretation that you're okay with, which may not be what they were going for, and it honestly may not even make that much sense, but you just come to terms with it, mainly because you want to stop thinking about it. My dad is a Matrix. What does that mean? Yeah, I don't know. There are some movies that just like I don't want to say like I think movies should have should always have happy endings. Like that's not really what I mean. It's hard to describe what I mean though, but maybe you understand. Like there are some movies that that are just kind of sad, but they still kind of give you hope. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Or maybe I'm just inconsistent. I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of movies. Like for example, the movie The Mist. I kind of like that movie, but it's pretty fucking depressing, and it has like a really fucking sad ending. But like it did, like when I left the movie, I didn't just feel like bummed out. I was like, man, that sucked. But overall, the movie was cool, and it actually like gave you because there were like some good characters in the movie, and the characters sort of like you know, it was almost like if the characters just were in the right place at the right time, they would have figured this out. That sort of thing. Terminator 3 is pretty bad. Terminator 2 is literally one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, though. Being John Malkovich is pretty weird. The Princess Bride is definitely a classic. Great movie. Yeah, Equilibrium is pretty cool. Do you mean to say you want movies to leave a message or a nuanced conclusion? I don't know. It's probably just a case to case basis. Like for example, someone mentioned Funny Games earlier. Like the movie clearly has a message, and I get it. But just the experience of watching the movie is just very frustrating. And it's like, oh, you just really gonna make me watch all these people die for no reason, and there's gonna be no conclusion. That's just it. And it's like no, I don't like it. But it had a message for sure. Like it was clearly a almost a satire, if not just a parody of violence in media and culture and stuff. And I guess like I get that, but watching the movie wasn't fun. I have a lot of arguments with my friends about signs because I think it's really stupid, but a lot of people like it. Schindler's List is one of the movies on the very long list of classic popular movies that I've never seen. I've seen there's a lot of popular movies that I've missed. Like for example, someone mentioned Indiana Jones earlier. I've never seen any Jones movies. I've played through Lego Indiana Jones, so I kind of know the plot of the movies just from that. Not really though. Yeah, water is their weakness. Okay, cool. And the whole like swing away thing, it's like that really that's what that was for? So that he would pick up a baseball bat? What's the most complicated, mind-blowing plot you've seen? I don't know. There's a lot of like indie, not even indie movies. Like I remember watching Vanilla Sky. You remember that Tom Cruise movie? That's pretty fucking confusing. I don't think that's an indie movie, but um let me see. I'm gonna search most confusing movies. Howard the Duck bad film. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Have I ever watched Farscape? Nope. Donnie Darko, yeah, that movie's kind of confusing, but I do think it does make sense if you like go back and look at it. I've never seen Memento. Everybody says that that's a mind fuck of a movie. The Matrix Revolutions is on the list. That's funny. Yeah, Primer's on here. I've never seen Primer. Eraserhead. See, that movie is confusing, but I don't think you're supposed to get it. I don't think that it's meant to be coherent. Do I like bands like Radiohead? I like Radiohead, so I guess I like bands like Radiohead. Yeah, I talk about this a lot on stream, but I am not super up to date on popular media. I don't watch movies that much. I don't read books that much, and I don't watch TV that much, and I don't listen to music that much. So I'm often not the correct person to have like conversations about media with. Um, but there are certain things that I have seen, and especially things in certain genres. Like I've seen every Marvel movie. If you want to talk about Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I'm super into that. Um, I've seen every. Well, I haven't even seen. I was gonna say I've seen every Tarantino movie, but I haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Um, so it's just like very specific things that I'm interested in, but I don't like. I don't watch stuff that much. The main media that I interact with is YouTube, and I guess video games, but I don't even play like if you're talking about like AAA video games, I don't even play most of them. I've never seen Lord of the Rings, never seen any of them. I've listened to a little bit of Tool. Media that I've most likely to have seen is stuff that came out in the 90s and maybe early 2000s. That's probably the media that I'm most likely to have experienced. Um, but after that, I just kind of stopped. Should check out Farscape. I wish that there was a way to stream watching a movie without like copyright violations. I know there's like Netflix watch parties and stuff, but you can't really stream that, I don't think. Because that would be a good way to make some content, but um I can do like I've talked about this already, but I'm working on a second channel, and there's going to be a lot of like reaction videos in that, so I can react to a lot of this stuff that you guys are suggesting. What YouTube drama have I been keeping up on? I don't know if I've been keeping up with YouTube drama. I've been keeping up with a lot of this Twitch drama that's been going on though. No, I haven't listened to Moonshaped Pool. How is it possible for you to have never seen any of Lord of the Rings? I told you I don't watch stuff that much. It's pretty easy to avoid Lord of the Rings. Well, it's pretty easy to convince yourself to avoid it once you see how long it is. Also, it never seems to come on TV. Like honestly, that's how I see a lot of movies, or that's how I used to see a lot of movies, is if they just come on TV. And I feel like I've never seen Lord of the Rings come on TV before. Imagine dying before you find out why Dr. Disrespect was banned. Yeah, that's like the biggest Twitch mystery of all time. Do I have a favorite book? Like I said before, I don't read books that much, but usually if someone asks me what my favorite book is, I say 1984. Because I like that book a lot. Of the very few books that I've read, especially fiction, because I don't even read fiction. If I do read a book, it's usually nonfiction. But among fiction, that's probably the best one that I've read, or my favorite at least. Maybe A Wrinkle in Time. Yeah, there. Twitch does have watch parties. I assume that Twitch watch parties, they have some kind of licensing agreement, but from what I understand, is a very small pool of options to choose from. Lord of the Rings premieres on FX movies. Oh. Would I go on Dave Rubin's show, The Rubin Report? Probably not. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. The thing about Dave Rubin is, I don't think he's like I don't think he's like a good faith presenter or good faith analysis. Like it's pretty clear that he has an agenda on his show, and the agenda is sort of hidden by this idea of like free speech and marketplace of ideas. It's also pretty clear that a lot of times he just doesn't know what he's talking about. However, on his actual show, he seems to let people talk, for better or for worse. So I think it might be okay for people to go on the show. It's not like, for example, a thing I would never do is like debate Steven Crowder. Like I would never like participate in like one of his change my mind segments, because he's the type of person that's going to like talk over you and use a bunch of like underhanded techniques to try to like gotcha you and shit like that. And I don't have time for that sort of thing. But Dave Rubin doesn't really do that. Like, he just kind of sits there and lets people talk. Whether you are a progressive, which he rarely has progressives on, but he has before. Or if you're just like an actual Nazi, he will just let you sit there and talk. So to some extent, I feel like there needs to be more people invited, or more people that go on that show and actually like say stuff that's not ridiculous, because he seems like he will let you do it. So it could be something to consider. Like, I'm not one of these people that thinks that you should just avoid all platforms that are right wing, or that, you know, spread harmful ideas. Sometimes you have to utilize those platforms for your own goals. But overall, I don't have any interest in going on a program where they're gonna try to gotcha me, or try to like blindside me with like accusations and stuff. Like, if I perceive that is going to happen, I'm not gonna do it. But if I perceive that there's just going to be a conversation, or if I'm just going to be allowed to say whatever I want, then maybe. Like, I've seen some of these podcasts and stuff, like, you know, like people like invite someone on a podcast and then just blindside them with like questions that, you know, they didn't know that they would have to answer. Like, I remember like maybe a year or so ago, like ContraPoints, I think, did a podcast, and or just was like part of some YouTuber's stream or something, and they're kind of just basically asking her to answer for, like, why do feminists do this? Why do trans people do this? And it's like, why did you invite me on? Like, ask me about me. I don't know. I can't speak for other people. But and it's also clear, like with Dave Rubin, like if you look at the list of guests he's had on his show, to be fair, I haven't watched it in a while, so maybe he's improved on this. Y'all can let me know if he has. But he rarely has progressives on, and when he does have people who are like left wing, left of center, they're usually people who have grievances with the left. So the whole point of the show is to trash the left. That's like kind of the whole point of the Rubin Report. And honestly, like, I have grievances with the left, but I'm not gonna go on a fucking conservative platform and trash the left. I have no intention of helping them spread that narrative. I have grievances with the left, but I have bigger grievances with the right. I don't know. I think that there are some. There are definitely some people in my audience who um who watch stuff like that. Like, I had a conversation with someone on Twitter who was sort of defending Dave Rubin in many ways. Like, I don't know. I think that my audience is a lot more like, I think I've scared a lot of the super left wing people away. I know a few people are still there, but I think my audience is mostly like center left to left, but not like super lefty. I think I scared most of like the hardcore communists away when I made my left tube video. And there's probably some like centrists and maybe even a couple of more right-leaning people in the audience. But yeah, I wouldn't expect too many people, but there's probably a couple people that watch David Rubin. I feel like most of these so-called debates, interviews only really exist to platform problematic people and make bad faith arguments. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what debate is, though. Like, I think once people understand that the point of debate is not to convince anyone of anything, then you kind of understand, you understand a lot more. But the problem is debates are very effective at, like, live debates are very effective at convincing an audience. And I think that's what they're for. I don't think they're for like you're never going to change Steven Crowder's mind, and even if you do, he's not going to let you know that you did. You're never going to change Dave Rubin's mind, probably. But people listening, you might change their mind, and I think that's the point of debate. And I think that's why right-wing people are so eager to debate people, because they know that that works, and they know that they don't have to really have the best arguments. All they have to do is be convincing. Ben Shapiro is the #1 example of that. Ben Shapiro never says anything smart. Like, everything Ben Shapiro says is super dishonest. Like, it's like, go watch Some More News, that channel run by Cody Johnston. He did a 1.5 hour video of Ben Shapiro, pretty much just exposes everything the dude does. Like, he's pretty like, I think it's pretty clearly like bad faith, and it's just like disingenuous. And I think he knows what he's doing, but I think he does it on purpose because he knows it's convincing. And I made a video about how I think probably the left doesn't need to be bad faith, but the left needs to be better at debating and being convincing. And I think that the left should utilize these things, I think, more. And we're seeing some people do it. Like Vaush, I think, is one of the people that seems to be pretty good at it. I don't know that much about Vaush, but I've seen it. I watched his debate with Destiny and those like two fucking Knots Bowls or whatever you call them. And he performed pretty well in the debate. He did a pretty good job of exposing the other people. As obviously I'm pretty biased because I kind of already agreed with his side, but I think we just need more stuff like that. Also, all you need to know about Ben Shapiro is he thought both Parasite and The Irishman were overrated. He also doesn't think rap music is music. He's just got a litany of just bad takes, even outside of politics. I'm definitely farther left, but I enjoy your channel a lot. Well, that's good. I'm sure that there are still people, and I know that there are still like a lot of leftists. But there's just like a segment of the left that's just like really sort of like choose a side type of thing, and it's like, if you're not on our side, then you're my enemy type of stuff. I don't want to say that everyone's like that, but I think there's a large segment of that. I guess when they, like, I saw some Reddit posts when I made the LeftTube video. There were some Reddit posts that were like, T1J has shown his true colors or something like that. I was like, okay, cool. What do you think about the deplatforming of far right YouTubers like Stefan Molyneux? Did he get deplatformed? I don't know. The deplatforming, I think, is almost always probably not the correct response. I do think that no one is owed a platform. So if you have a platform, I think it's your prerogative whether or not to allow someone to use that platform. But the idea of sort of like trying to forcefully prevent someone from using someone else's platform, I feel like I generally just don't think it's worth the effort. There may be situations where, in very extreme cases, where like literal like violence and literal um, when literally people's lives are on the line, that may be an issue. Like, for example, just to give a really extreme example, like if there was someone doing a tour of college campuses, and the purpose of the talks was teaching people how to make explosives or something, how to make explosives at home, like maybe that's something that should be deplatformed, maybe not, but you know things like that. And maybe people might argue that there are certain political ideas that effectively have the same effect. As for like banning people on a platform, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they all have terms of service, they all have community guidelines. We have to agree to those guidelines when we make YouTube accounts, and especially if we become creators. And if you break those rules, then they have the right to ban you. I don't think that has anything to do with deplatforming. That's just, you broke the rules, and YouTube has updated their rules. Their rules arguably are still not the best, but they have made their rules more and more clear over time. I don't know exactly what these people were banned for, but like, for example, you're not allowed to hate speech on YouTube. You're not allowed to say like X group is inferior to Y group. It's just not allowed. So if you're doing that, you YouTube is fully in their right to ban you or take whatever disciplinary action they have set up for that. So I don't think that has anything to do with platforming. That's just like you breaking the rules that you agreed to when you signed up. If I made a movie, what would it be about? It's interesting. I've thought about this before. Probably my two least favorite movie genres are horror and rom-com. Or like, I don't want to say least favorite because there are movies in both of those genres that I love. For example, I love When Harry Met Sally, and I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Shining and stuff. But overall, those genres pump out a lot of garbage. But ironically, I think if I made a movie, it would be one of those two, either rom-com or horror, or maybe a combination of both, rom-com horror. Does that exist? That has to exist, right? I guess Zombieland is kind of a rom-com horror. Shaun of the Dead, kind of. Shaun of the Dead is like way more comedy than horror, though. It's like not even horror. I guess it's kind of. Anyway, but yeah. I'm also interested in just straight comedy, but I don't know if I am good enough at writing comedy. But it's something I could practice. All leftist subreddits are trash except for r/Vouchvidia. Interesting. Well, I mean, you said it, not me. Like I appreciate this is why I like my audience, because I think that I attract the cool leftists, like the civil ones, the nice ones. No, and those are really the only ones that I'm interested in communicating with. Because I want to know what leftists are talking about. I think a lot of their ideas are interesting. But I'm not gonna sit there and listen to it if you're yelling and screaming and being condescending and shit. Like I've much of my experience with leftists online has been. I don't want to like generalize, but you know, and we talked earlier about how Twitter and stuff brings out the worst in people, so that's part of it too. But it's like, I mean, if that's all I experience, what do you want me to do? Happy Death Day is kind of a rom-com horror. I've never seen Money Heist. A Dogger Pillar. Yeah, you should be writing the comedy movies, huh? No, I understand that a lot of. I don't think it was brash at all. It was just a statement. But yeah, I mean, I agree. A lot of political subreddit. I don't. I honestly don't read political subreddits for that reason, and not just left wing one, or not just leftist one. Like, um, even more center left ones can be pretty weird. And of course, right wing ones can get pretty ridiculous as well. What would I do if someone made a movie about me? Well, first of all, I would see if there's some kind of some copyright infringement, some intellectual property rights that's been going on, some likeness rights. Would I consider myself auth left or lib left? I mean, how many people would actually consider themselves authoritarian left? Seems like most people wouldn't do that because it's just not. It doesn't seem to be a very good position. Um, I talk about this every stream, but I pretty much hate labels. I mean, obviously, I'm more liber. I'm obviously more about libertarian left than authoritarian, but hopefully that in and of itself doesn't make you think that you know anything about my views because it's a very broad label. I've not seen many that are open to dissent. Yeah, that's actually true. That's a good observation about Reddit in general. Not even yeah, you said in general for sure. Like outside of politics, you know. I feel like that's just kind of like forum culture in general. Whenever these communities form, they are like very hostile to people who aren't part of the group. Like one thing I hate about Reddit and I've always hated about forums growing up is, for example, say there's like a tech forum or something, or a tech related subreddit, and you come in, you're new, you ask a question. I don't know what the question is like. Hey, can I do this on Windows 10 or something? Or does my how do I activate this on my smartphone? In most subreddits, they will fucking jump down your throat and be like, fucking search. This question has been asked like 20 times already. Why don't you use the search function? It's like, or you could just answer the question. How about that? Why not just answer it one more time? Like, how much effort does it take to answer? Just simply answer the question. And if you think that a question has been sufficiently answered before, why don't you just link to that answer? Why you have to be a dick? I hate that so much about Reddit, and it's a remnant of forum culture, which you know forums still exist, and that still happens on forums. It's like one of the it like it's like one of my pet peeves. I hate that so much. It's like, why are you being a dick? They just asked the question. What if you wrote a historical fiction rom-com? I think that's a niche that isn't well explored. That could work. I'd have to come up with an idea though. I've never even thought about that. Do I think hostile internet culture will ever change for the better, or is it just a reflection of society? I mean, I think it can get better. I think the problem, and this is, I'm not fully 100% on this, but this is what I've been thinking about. I think the problem is we just allow it, and we think it's inevitable, so we don't do anything about it. We just say like, oh, trolls are gonna troll, people are gonna be shitty. That's just how the world is, and we just let it go. But what if we like actually worked on trying to fix it? Like, I don't know exactly how you do that, but like for example, I have a Discord which you guys should join, by the way, the onejanitor.com/discord. But I have a Discord server, and it's pretty small. We maybe have like 400 members or something right now, which I that seems small. There are people with like thousands and tens of thousands, so but maybe that doesn't seem small to you. But anyway, but on my Discord server, I talked about this in a video. On my Discord server, it's pretty much it's not like being an asshole is not allowed. It's literally against the rules. If you come to my Discord server and are a dick to people, you will be banned immediately. Like, it's just against the rules. Now, I'm not saying that all the sites should have rules that strict where you just literally, but what if we just started to just have a no, just not tolerate all this nonsense, you know? What if more platforms were like, hey, be nice to people or we will take action against you? Like, what if that, like I said, I'm not 100% on this. It's something worth thinking about. But what if we did that just as a culture, as an internet culture? A Bugatti. Do you have like a joke book, or are you just coming up with these, Archibald? Like I don't think like I listen, I agree with free speech. I don't think you should go to jail for being an asshole. I don't think you should have face like government or legal punishments for being an asshole. But what if in our society, in our communities, on our platforms, we just didn't tolerate it? And all of the assholes, maybe, and this is maybe the downside, because if we did that, then maybe all the assholes would all be like congregated in like the really weird places on the internet, like 4chan and stuff. And maybe that would be worse if they all were forced to hang out in places like that. But it's like they probably are already there anyway. I have an uncle with tarot. I mean, those are some pretty good dad jokes. Yeah, I mean, the anonymity of the internet is one thing, but honestly, you go on Facebook where most people are using their real names, people are just as shitty on Facebook. I also wonder how much troll culture changes through different generations. I have a I have a theory that there are less Gen Z like online trolls than there are like older people. I could be wrong about that. What will I do if Tim Pool made a video maliciously attacking me? I mean, probably nothing. A lot of people have made videos maliciously attacking me. I mean, if the live if y'all were into it, we could maybe like stream me reacting to it and like responding to it, but I don't do like response videos on my channel. Like I have no interest in that, but um it could be a live stream activity. People aren't being raised by Newgrounds anymore. Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's cool anymore. It's not considered edgy. But honestly, you guys will have to like let me know if someone makes a video about me because I usually miss it. Like I like searched myself on YouTube the other day and I there was like a bunch of videos about me that I didn't even know existed. Why do you think some conservatives are actively looking for a civil war? I don't think it's just conservatives. I think leftists, I think a lot of people think that there's going to be some kind of war for the war over the culture and that they have to win. I think a lot of people feel that way. There's this idea that the country is like being pulled in the wrong direction by whoever you perceive as your enemy. I think that each generation is less tolerant of bullying than the last. I've seen that with the difference between my folks and my generation, the sibling 10 years younger than me. Yeah. Like I know that bullying still exists, but I don't think it's, like when I was in school and I was in like middle school and stuff, the bullies were cool. Like they were like the cool kids who were the bullies. And I think, if you watch old media, it was always like the jock who's like also he's like a huge bully, but he's also the most popular kid in school. But I don't feel like it's like that now. I feel like the bullies aren't cool. Like the nerds are cool now. I listen to Neil Young and I'm only 14. I mean, I'm not even sure what you mean by troll. Like when I think about trolling, I'm thinking about um basically people just being shitty to other people on the internet just to get a rise out of them. If that's what you're doing, like you should probably stop doing that. That's not that cool. But yeah, I guess it can mean different things. Isn't there an extent to bullying online? Is online bullying that bad? Well, sure it is. Why wouldn't it be? What's the difference? Yeah, I suppose that bullying is usually in terms of people piling on, and in that way, it's like worse online. But I mean, I do think that there is also like one-on-one online bullying, especially like with younger people. Yeah, that's just not a good. It's not a way to be. I don't know, my anyone who knows me or has been following me knows that pretty much my number one thing is don't be a dick. We're all trying to make it through life, and we, you know, we've already got enough to deal with, and then we encounter someone just being an asshole to us online. It's just, why? Like, what's the point? Like, you wouldn't want someone to do that to you. Was I ever a bully at any point? No. I was a pretty timid and I guess kind of shy person. We yeah, I was never like a bully. I could never have done that. Sometimes I don't know if I would say that I was bullied either, but you know, middle school for me was pretty gruesome. Like, kids could be mean, but it was like everybody was mean to everybody. Like, it was like a fucking survival game. Like, everyone made fun of everybody for everything. You know, if you came in and your shoes were dirty, like, you just got picked on all day and maybe for the rest of the week. But that same person who picked on you could also be picked on by someone else. Like, it was pretty gruesome. Just everybody was just like a little shithead. I was always just kind of too shy. I mean, I participated in teasing, but usually, like, it was almost like it was a game that you were forced to play. I don't feel like a lot of it was like specifically personal. You just kind of did it because that's what you did to survive that atmosphere. But it could get pretty gruesome and pretty, like, people's feelings got hurt. And so I guess I did participate that a little bit, but not as much as other people because I was kind of shy. And I often did it just like in retaliation. Like, I never like intentionally sought people out to make fun of them. But I don't know. I For various reasons, as I grew older, I just kind of decided that I mean, you should. I basically you need to think about other people. That's kind of I realized that like far too late in life. I realized that like fucking sophomore year in college maybe, where I was like, wait, I should probably consider how other people feel before I do and say stuff. Like, I pretty much never did that before. Like, I had a general concept of be nice to people, but if something that would benefit me could happen, then I would value that over be nice to people. So in general, I was nice to people. I was, you know, I didn't make fun of people. I didn't intentionally harm people or intentionally be shitty to people. But if I found something that benefited me, then I would value that higher, even if it hurt someone else. And I didn't realize until later. It's like I should probably think about how other people feel, and that applied to a lot of things. Um, and now today, like I'm trying to even push it to the next level because the older I get, just the more I double down on that. Like, not being an asshole is like 100% my number one priority in life. If you're like a nice, kind person, I will probably like you more than anyone who isn't, regardless of anything else. Did I ever have the edgy atheist phase? Yeah, kinda. Um, I definitely was. I used to be one of those people that wanted to argue about religion all the time, and I would get pretty like intense in arguments. I usually wouldn't get personal, but I would definitely like be pretty like condescending and sarcastic and shit. Um, when getting in arguments with people, and that also applies to sort of how I've evolved as a person. Is like, you know, why be a dick? How about not be a dick? And now I'm at a point where I'm like, I've been thinking about this recently, and I don't even want to like make fun of people as a joke. Like, I think this is where I'm at now, and I don't mean to be like this fucking like, I don't know, like I don't know, a lot of people accuse me of being like unrealistically positive and unrealistically optimistic, but this is just kind of what I've decided on in my life. You can do whatever you want. Um, but what I realize is that even if you make fun of people, even if it's a joke and even if it's clear that it's a joke, that can still register with people and still affect them. And I don't want that to happen. Like, for example, if someone like says something silly and you just make fun of them, it's like, wow, like you're pretty dumb, right? And it's obviously a joke, but depending on the person, that could still register with them and make them insecure and make them second guess themselves, etc. You know what I mean? And I don't want to have that effect. So I think where I'm at now is I'm working on trying to even eliminate that from my behavior. Is like not even making fun of people as a joke. So that's where I'm at. Like, that's how I've evolved over time. What's one class you think we should be teaching middle schoolers? Well, I think definitely a thing that we need to teach is financial literacy. Like, I think it is intentional that that isn't taught to young people, and I think a lot of things would be better if we did that. Do I speak any other languages? I speak Spanish poorly, but that's it. I don't think that counts because it's not really fluent, but I know a little bit of Spanish. What do you think are some of the biggest way individuals can make social impact? Um, by voting. That's big. Voting, donating money if you can. Um, and other than that, I would say probably getting involved in like your local political system is something that's underrated. Calling your like representatives apparently works. That's what they say. They say it works. But like getting involved, going to city council meetings, staying informed of what's going on. I think you'd be surprised at how effective that can be. Um, and then just talking to your community. You can talk one-on-one with people, or if you want to, you can even organize groups, organize like a discussion at like your local library. A lot of libraries are like happy to like allow people to meet up and stuff for events. Like, they don't like, as long as you're not being disruptive, invite like 4 or 5 people and just have a discussion about things. So there's a lot of things you can do. Yeah, I mean, I hope people understand what I mean when I say being nice. I i don't think, like, a lot of people sort of misrepresent what it means to like be a kind person. Like being a nice or kind person doesn't mean that you're being fake. I don't advocate being fake. It does not mean that you are a pushover. I don't advocate being a pushover. I advocate standing up for yourself and standing up for other people. That does not mean you're not being a kind person. So yeah, I think a lot of times people misrepresent what those words mean. I got here, what are your thoughts on J.K. Rowling's recent anti-trans article as well as that free speech letter that she signed? I didn't read the article or the letter. I have a general idea of what J.K. Rowling's been doing. But you know, I don't know. Being transphobic is bad. I don't know exactly what you want me to say about that. It's bad that she's transphobic. That I mean, yeah. And I do think it's it is I hesitate to label people with things. In fact, I prefer, actually I should say preferably that the things that she has said are transphobic. I don't want to pretend to know her heart. In fact, I think it's likely that she doesn't actually like hate trans people. But I think it's very clear that the things that she has said on Twitter are transphobic. So I think it's clear to point that out. As for the letter or whatever, I don't know what all that says, but yeah. Cool, thanks. I'm learning about Congress representation and who we vote for. I feel like no one knows how this works. I mean, it can get pretty complicated, but I think it's good to educate yourself. You should know how all that works for sure. I don't read much, but I love libraries. I'm the same. I don't read much, but I also love libraries. I used to work at a library. It was awesome. I mean, I would have to read the free speech letter. I mean, because I like free speech, so I don't know if the letter is good or bad. How have you been trying to stay mentally sane during quarantine in these times? Um, I have. Well, actually, this has helped, like streaming more, because it's kind of a quasi social interaction. But I've actually been keeping myself busy. It's actually interesting since I have a lot of time to myself now, and I to be fair, I've always had more time to myself than the average person, but it's only magnified now with quarantine. Um, I've been keeping myself pretty busy and being more productive than usual. Um, and I've developed, or I'm working on developing better habits. And this is something that I've always like wanted to do. I've always like tried every now and then, and some things have stuck and some things haven't. But I've been doing a lot of things better now, which is really cool. Like I've been doing a lot better of like keeping my apartment clean. It's usually a huge mess, but I've been like keeping it clean. I started flossing. Like I never used to floss really, but I started flossing. I'm exercising more frequently. Um, I've been practicing my Spanish. I told you all about how I speak Spanish poorly, but I've been practicing that more. Um, I've been working on more content. I haven't like really put it out yet, but I'm working on more content. So you guys should expect to see a lot more content from me in the future. I'm gonna try, don't hold me on this, but I'm gonna try to start making 2 videos a month instead of just one. So, you know, I've actually been just keeping my mind busy, I guess. Do I remember watching Reading Rainbow? Hell yeah, I love that show. As far as like the Black Lives Matter and all that stuff, um, I feel cautiously optimistic about that whole thing. So, um, you know, all of these stories coming out are very frustrating and angering, and I think we should be diligent. But I think it is a productive anger. I don't think it is a draining anger, at least not for me. LibriVox, who don't have time to read but could listen while on the bus. I've never heard of that. Oh, that's amazing. I've never heard of this before. That's dope. So yeah, LibriVox free, or is it LibriVox or LibriVox? Free public domain audiobooks. So you guys can check that out. Am I worried about a second COVID-19 wave? Is there still lockdown where you are? Well, it's like we're still on the first one. But I assume there's probably going to be a second wave, if not a third wave. Is there still lockdown where you are? We haven't been on lockdown for like the past month. Here in Alabama, there is a mask ordinance, but that's it. Like, there's no other lockdown. I have a feeling like we're going to have to lock down again, but people is like, I live in Alabama. You know, this is where the Southern conservatives and stuff live. People are super antagonistic towards the idea of being locked inside. Is BLM really for all black people? I don't really understand the question. Like, what black people do you assert that they are not for? UK is just coming out of lockdown. But yeah, I have pretty much. I mean, I guess I'm sort of in a unique and I guess fortunate position to where I don't really need to leave my house that much because I work from home, um, and I I buy almost everything I buy online. The only time I leave the only thing I don't buy online is groceries, and I might actually get into the habit of doing that, but it's just cheaper for me to actually go down the street to the store. Um, okay. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. The OBS just disconnected for a second. My bad. I'm not sure what just happened. Maybe my internet lagged for a second. Anyway, I've seen calls for specifically including LGBT, black people, and BLM, but the movement seems pretty receptive to it. Yeah, I feel like um, LGBT LGBTQ has always been inherently a part of Black Lives Matter. Like, it was literally founded by women, LGBTQ women, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, that's like one of the reasons why I like Black Lives Matter so much, is because they have always been inclusive to LGBTQ, and that's something that that has been an issue in the Black community overall, I think. So to me, it's just always been a part of it. Thoughts on intersectionality politics. For example, if men commit more suicides and Black people are also prone to suicide, should we focus on Black men in relation to this issue? I don't like the asking, should we focus on? I don't think that's really the way any of this works. If you want to focus on Black men and suicide, then you should feel free to do that. If you want to focus on Black people and suicide, you should feel free to focus on that. If you want to focus on men and suicide, you should feel free to focus on that. And if you want to just focus on suicide in general as a topic, you should feel free to focus on that. I don't think there's this idea that we all, as a cohesive community, have to focus on any particular thing. There are enough people in the world that we can tackle many different issues at many different angles, all at once. I mean, it is interesting to find like these trends, these specific trends, and focus, because sometimes a lot of these things go unnoticed. For example, even the fact that men commit suicide at a higher rate, which is true. I don't know if you knew that was true, but people may not know that intuitively. So if no one has ever brought that up, it might be useful to be like, hey, this is a thing, and maybe that might inspire some people to look more into it. So I do think it's useful to bring up if it is in fact a thing. But I don't think that anyone has to focus on any one group or any one issue. If I could meet any 3 historical figures that influenced me, who would it be? I would love to meet um I would love to meet Malcolm X after he returned from Mecca. I feel like if he lived beyond that, like he would have probably had some real cool shit to say, and he probably would have like, I mean, he probably would have changed the world even more than he already did. I don't know who else, but that's the first one that comes to mind. I mean, there are some people that I just think would be interesting, but I don't know if I actually want to hang out with them or if I have anything particular that I want to say to them. Like, I don't know, like I you know, like Thomas Jefferson or somebody. Ben Franklin, that dude seemed like a riot, but like I don't want to hang out with that dude for real. What kind of music do I listen to? There's music in pretty much every genre that I like, but I guess if my favorite genre is probably hip hop. On the wait, what did I didn't see what Deshaun Jackson said, but he just posted that he has been educating himself. Wait, what did he say? He posted a fake quote attributed to to Hitler. Several fake quotes. This just sounds like, I mean, I don't know. It sounds like he just didn't know what the hell he was talking about. It's just like, just one of those things where people just find something on the internet and share it without even knowing what it is. But yeah, I wasn't really familiar with it. Yeah, I don't know. I think we live in a culture where people, it's hard to really talk about it because a lot of times, like, I have made mistakes like that. I mean, and listen, I don't really fully understand the context, so I could be wrong. But anyway, I've made mistakes. I made ignorant mistakes, but I just made mine in private. I didn't make mine as a famous celebrity or someone with millions of followers on Instagram, or and that's just kind of like the issue with like being a public figure. Like, I'm lucky, like, compared to a lot of people in my position, compared to other YouTubers, streamers, um like, I'm older than most of them. Like, I'm 35 years old, if you didn't know. So I made a lot of my mistakes when I was younger, before I had an audience. And I don't even have a big audience. Like, what, there's like 40 people watching right now or something. 30 people. I could say something that's super ignorant right now and then it would just die and only you guys would know about it. And I'd be fine probably unless one of y'all like put it on Reddit and it like, got front page of Reddit or something. But it's just a weird thing to navigate, and I think when you're a public figure, there's an extra responsibility on your head to make sure that you're not, that the shit you're not saying is stupid. Like, you can't go off the cuff when you're a public figure. You just can't do it. You have to think about what you're saying, and you have to research the shit that you're putting on the internet and make sure you're not um make sure you're not being needlessly, make sure you're not adding more harm into the world, basically. And it's just something you have to do. You can't, you've sort of relinquished your right to make mistakes. Well, I don't want to say it like that, but you've relinquished your right to be stream of conscious and off the cuff. Once you become a public figure, you you have new responsibilities. That's just how the world works, I think. That's how I think the world works, at least. Um, and I think you should have people that you trust that you can show things to and like, hey, is this okay? Or you can have like a private social media that you test things on first. I don't know. Annoyingly, I think a lot of time that's brought up is to downplay women's struggle, and while it's a valid point. Well, that's the thing. I'm sorry, I just saw this comment, but like, it when we're talking about like men's issues and stuff, if the only time you want to talk about men is when someone else is already talking about women, it's a pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that you're being disingenuous at that point. But there are plenty of, there's plenty of people who are studying these things. Um, there are people who have their whole, their life's work is to um, increase the quality of life for men or for something like that, or you know, tackling specific men's issues. And I think that's fine. Just don't use it to talk over other people. Anyway. Is someone like... It's been a while since we've had like a troll in the chat. It probably isn't even showing up though, is it? Because it's on top chat. Okay, no, it is showing up. Okay. I think that's how you know that you're becoming a legit streamer, is when people start trolling you in chat. I fear for the younger generations. All their childhood and teenage mistakes are documented through messaging and social media. We just need a way to balance holding people accountable and letting them grow. Yeah, I mean, from what I just looked at it for like 30 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it just looked like it was just an honest mistake. And it seems like he's apologized for it, and he just tweeted like, I spoke with a Holocaust survivor, and he's continuing to educate himself. Like, to me, I'm okay with this. Seems fine. He made a mistake and he's working on it. I don't see any reason to go in on this man. Obviously I don't have all of the context, but that's what it looks like from my quick overview of it. If there's effective justice outside of public forums, there wouldn't be so much call to hold people to account so publicly. I don't know if that's true, but I do think that there should be effective justice outside of public forums for sure. I don't know if I'm convinced that people would not still try to cancel people and dogpile people on the internet, though, even if there was effective justice. Just realized that well, I was watching the Twitch Rivals chess tournament. That's a thing that's happening. I don't know if y'all follow that, but it's over now. I got to catch the VOD. But I mean, we should have effective justice regardless, for sure. Regardless of how people are going to act. What's been my media diet lately? Well, mostly I just watch YouTube videos. That's kind of all the media I consume. I started watching the show Schitt's Creek recently. It's really good. I didn't know it was that good. That's kind of the only like traditional media show, if you can consider Netflix traditional media, because that's where I watched it. But other than that, I've just been watching YouTube and playing chess. That's kind of all I've been doing outside of like working. Did I ever see an animated movie called Spirit? Nope. If I do watch a TV show, it's going to be a comedy. I'm really into comedies, and Schitt's Creek is really good. It's like, it's one of the better ones, one of the best ones, I would say. One of the best sitcoms of the past 10 or so years. Have I seen Sanford and Son? I have seen Sanford and Son. Would I consider streaming chess games? Yeah. This is as long as you guys understand that I'm not great at chess, but yeah. I'm gonna start like this stream. In the past, the stream was just this, basically just like Q&A, hanging out, but I'm going to start adding a variety of activities to the stream. I've already done a few things where I've streamed myself painting miniatures. I've actually streamed like on my birthday, I streamed a few games. I even streamed a D&D game. So those are the things. I'm going to do gaming. I'm going to do more painting. I might do something where like, we read the news and chat about the news or something together, and I'll have it like up on the screen and stuff. I'll definitely stream chess. If you can see, I've got an incentive for a cooking stream. Once I hit 50 members on YouTube, I'll do a cooking stream, and then we can think of more incentives as we go forward. But yeah, I'm going to try a bunch of stuff, and I think that some things are going to be less interesting to some people than others, but that's fine. It's a variety stream. The point of the stream really is just for you all to get to know me as a person outside of just politics and social issues, because there's more things that I'm interested in than just that. If you're only interested in talking about politics and social issues, then you can just stick to the main videos, and you can ask me about that. And not to say that politics and stuff aren't allowed during the stream. In fact, we've talked about that kind of stuff a bunch already, and we will continue to do that. But the idea of it is for y'all to get to know me, the dude, T1J, Kevin, whatever you want to call me. So because in that way, I will show you things that I'm interested in, such as chess or painting miniatures or video games, things like that. Yeah, I can play against the viewers for sure. Well, I've never seen Lord of the Rings, so I don't know that much about the lore. I've played D&D though, and D&D is kind of based on the Lord of the Rings and similar fantasy novels. So what kind of dishes for the cooking stream? I'm not sure. I think that probably for the first time, I will make fried rice, because that's sort of something that I've been making a lot, and I think I've gotten pretty good at it. But the problem is it doesn't take that long to make fried rice, so I might make some other things as well. Because I don't want to make like a 10-minute cooking stream and then that's the stream. So but I'd probably fry. I mean, it takes more than 10 minutes, but I'd probably just buy a bunch of food and just make a bunch of stuff. Got any family recipes? The only like real family recipe we have is this coconut rice that we make. I don't think it was like invented by us, but it's just like a staple in our family. Whenever we have like get-togethers, it's always made. But it's really easy to make. Like, it's not a secret or anything. It's really just, you just make rice and put coconut oil in it, kind of. We also like to use black beans, but it's just really good. It just comes out really good. Other than that, I don't think we have any like secret family recipes. We make a lot of standard stuff. pork chops, chicken. Like my family, or at least on my mom's side, is from Panama, so there's a lot of like sort of like Latin, Caribbean affects to a lot of the meals that we make. I wanted to get into D&D with some friends of mine, but they were usually already in a campaign. I would be interested to get into it again. Yeah, well, I mean, you can join a campaign in progress. That's definitely a thing. In general, the easiest way to start playing D&D is to be the dungeon master. It is kind of a lot of work, so I understand why people don't want to do it, but that's what I did, at least. What are some of my favorite childhood video games? Well, I always say my favorite video game of all time is Metal Gear Solid 3, but I love all of the Metal Gear Solid games. Those games are like really masterpieces to me, like pretty much all of them. I play Parappa the Rapper. That was a game that brought me a lot of joy. Tony Hawk. If we want to go back even further, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is one of my top 5 favorite games. Killer Instinct. Pretty much any Street Fighter game. Mario Kart. Super Mario World on Super Nintendo. Game's a masterpiece. Have I ever played Skyrim? I played a little bit of Skyrim. I don't think that it's too long. Like, I don't really care about a game being long as long as it's engaging. Like, I play MMOs, which technically never end. So, I'm not really worried about longness. But the problem is, maybe I did something wrong, but when I played Skyrim, I played maybe like a good 8-hour session. I remember like I was on vacation with my dad. My brother had just got the game, and so it was like just late. Everybody was asleep or something, or people were starting to go to sleep, and I couldn't really sleep, so I popped in Skyrim and I played for like 8 hours. Problem is, after that 8 hours, I did not feel like I accomplished anything. And maybe I just played the game wrong, but I was like, okay, I don't think I want to play this anymore. How do I like my steak? Medium rare. Medium rare is perfect. Playing Phantom Pain right now. That game's pretty cool too. I agree Mario 2 is underrated, but I think it's still like if you're comparing it to like Mario 3, for example, Mario 3 is better. But it's good. It's not bad. Like Mario 2 is great. But if y'all are interested in that cooking stream, just become a homie. We are over halfway there. I'm trying to like navigate YouTube streaming because it's a little bit different than Twitch streaming. On Twitch, like subs are kind of like the main thing, or it's like the main income source for streamers. Like, and they heavily incentivize subs, and there's a lot of way to get subs. You can gift subs to people. You can do like tier 2, tier 3 subs, things of that nature. I think on YouTube, SUPERCHATs are incentivized much more than members, which are the equivalent of subs. So, maybe I should incentivize those more. But I'm trying different things because I'd like the stream to grow. And I've encountered a couple of people that actually enjoy the streams more than the actual videos, which I'm into. Like, it's a more real life interaction, I guess. Spyro was a game. Yeah, Spyro was cool. I remember that. They you know, they like remastered and re-released the Spyro games, and the remaster version is really cool too. It looks awesome. Like, if I had to pick like all time favorite video games, it would definitely be like Metal Gear Solid 3. That's just number one for sure. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past definitely is on there. Portal 2 is definitely on there. I would probably say World of Warcraft, which might be amusing to some of you, but I mean, the game has brought me so much joy throughout my life. Um, Probably Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy VII are very close to me. Like, they might both be on the list. Definitely Super Smash Brothers Melee. Possibly Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That game's dope as far as fighting games go. I'm thinking more like just games that have brought me the most joy throughout my life. Do I ever listen to the Halo opening? Not really. Seems like everybody likes Pokemon. Nothing wrong with that. Whenever a new Pokemon game comes out, pretty much everyone I know is like going wild for it. So one of my favorite meals I ever had was a bowl of rundown soup at a restaurant out on the NC Outer Banks. It's a Jamaican soup with coconut milk, tomato, and fish with spices like bay leaf. That sounds delicious. I've seen Legend of Korra or Avatar: The Last Airbender. I actually have not seen either of those. That's another popular thing that I've never seen. I really love Tekken 7. I played a lot of Tekken 3 back in the day, but I think Tekken 7, like, they perfected the Tekken formula. The game's so good. I've never played Dwarf Fortress. I don't think so. Favorite fruit? Pineapple. Pineapples are so good. It's almost unbelievable to me how good they are. I also really like pears, but I think pineapple is number one. Dwarf Fortress is a part construction and management simulation, part roguelike indie video game. Interesting. I can't even imagine how that works. I wish I had a PC so I would have been able to play World of Warcraft. Do you still not have a PC? Because you can still play. Oh, you have a Chromebook, I see. Yeah. Anyway, I just noticed how much time has gone by. Hold on, I want to try something real quick. I've added some commands. I don't know if they work though. Wait, why am I not logged in? Interesting. That's cool. If I can chat as not T1J. That's dope. So yeah, there's a little command that I added. I might add more commands if I can think of like cool things I want to put. But yeah, probably gonna end the stream in about 10 minutes or so. Chat seems to be slowing down, and we're going on 3 hours, which is a decent amount of time. Wow, it's too easy now. You level so easy. Yeah, I mean it is pretty easy, but at least for me, as a person who is less hardcore of a gamer than I used to be, I kind of appreciate it being easier. But I understand why people might not like that. I actually didn't see the Warcraft movie. I wanted to watch it actually, but I was gonna get around to doing it, and then I saw that it pretty much got trashed by the reviewers, and most people I know who saw it said it wasn't good. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll skip it. Jaga says, yo, dude, your material's amazing. I love your content. Please never stop making stuff. Stay awesome, my man. I appreciate that, Jaga. Thank you for the kind comment. G Walsh, thank you for the $5. Appreciate that. But yeah, we're going to get ready to end the stream here. Can probably respond to a couple more things, but favorite Pokemon. I don't know that much about Pokemon, but I always say my favorite Pokemon is Scyther. I always thought he looked really cool. I remember there was a Doom movie and The Rock was in it, but it was nothing like the Doom game. Yeah, I never saw that movie, but I remember a lot of people saying that it had nothing to do with the game. Do all kinds of homies count toward the homie count? Yes. Every tier of homie counts. You'll be happy to know that Scyther is powerful for the first time ever now. Cool. He always seemed like he should be strong. He literally has knives for hands. I love the Mortal Kombat movies. I like the first Mortal Kombat movie. The second one is a mess. But yeah, as I've mentioned, I currently am streaming on Mondays and Fridays. At least that's the goal. I don't have a specific time, but I will put up sort of a counter roughly 1 to 2 hours before the stream starts. And I think that if you have the notification bell clicked, enabled, it will alert you like an hour or something in advance before I stream, and it will also alert you when I go live. So that's pretty much the best way to just know in advance when I'm live, or just to know when I am live. I should have a video coming out probably next week. As I said, I'm going to start trying to do 2 videos a month. And I should have 2 videos this month, which is good. We'll see if I keep that up. If you would like to rewatch this stream or any of the previous streams, there is a link in the description to a playlist with all of the previous streams in it. That's really the only way you can watch the previous streams, because the streams are unlisted because I don't want to clog up my my video page with a bunch of live streams. So that's the only way that you can really watch old streams. All right, good night. Go on life. See y'all. But yeah, other than that, if you look at the description below the video, there's a lot of links and stuff. All my social media, other ways that you can keep up with me or support me. And I guess the next time I will see you will be Monday, because I don't think the video will be out by then. I guess that's it. And it looks like I have indeed fixed my camera. My camera did not shut off once. The stream disconnected, but that had nothing to do with the camera. I don't know what that was about, but I think it's working. So I'm glad that worked, because we had some issues last time. I don't know if any of you were there. Anyway, I guess that's it. Thanks, as always, for chilling with me. And I will see you on Monday.